guardians of the Egyptian religion, the temples and the tombs of the pharaohs. They set out to rescue and hide the mummies.
They want to protect the kings. They took all the mummies, they buried them here. Even away from everyone. They did not reveal the secrets to anyone.
The fact that the priests saved these mummies allows scientists to study the physical remains of some of antiquity's most powerful rulers.
If you close your eyes and you go back thousands of years, you can imagine this living king.
After the mummies were discovered, they were taken to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, where they are cased in sterile conditions.
If you enter inside this room now, you see dead bodies, and you look at them, you get scared, and you laugh, and you cry, and you smile. But when I use science, this is the first time that all these mummies will talk to us.
But what's most revealing is what isn't there. Pharaohs were buried with priceless treasures, but none of these mummies were found with any valuables.
When you look at these stripped-down coffins, you find that the gold and other jewels and finery has actually been systematically taken off of some of them.
This offers evidence for a high-level conspiracy theory.
When somebody's robbing a tomb in the middle of the night and is afraid they're going to get killed, or the god is going to strike them down, they are going to be in a hurry, they're going to be scared out of their wits, and they're going to just grab whatever they can get and run.
But these bodies have been methodically stripped.
This suggests that the high priests themselves are doing this. The very people that saved them actually removed the last bits of gold and finery that were still attached.
Although the priests were both rescuers and robbers, they left science with an invaluable resource.
It was sort of a double-edged sword, because you can say that they were doing a good thing by hiding these mummies in a secret place and protecting them in this way, but they also stole along the way.
Forensic investigations reveal the real lives of great pharaohs. But from this discovery, we can also gain an insight into ancient Egyptian society. A society on the verge of anarchy. And when the nation imploded, other empires were quick to take advantage, and Egypt suffered hundreds of years of invasion. But instead of being destroyed, the Egyptian culture was so strong that the invaders actually adopted the customs and beliefs of their new home. This accomplishment is spectacularly revealed in the final discovery. The evidence lies both on and under the desert sand.
If you go down under the ground, you'll find mummies covered with gold.
Hundreds of perfectly preserved, untouched mummies covered with gold. For centuries, the ancient civilization of Egypt has captured the imagination of scientists, archaeologists, and adventurers. Now, guided by Dr. Zahi Hawass, a team of experts has selected the 10 greatest discoveries that tell us about this extraordinary civilization. Even in its final decline, the ancient Egyptian culture created something which, when discovered thousands of years later, would still inspire awe. A field of mummies, still untouched.
If you look around you, right or left, or any place, you will dig and you will discover mummies.
Over its history, Egypt was attacked by many empires. The evidence says that Egyptian culture had the strength to resist and endure.
Egyptian culture, Egyptian society, Egyptian religious beliefs conquered the conquerors.
The Bahariya Oasis in the Western Desert. The first clues that this area is unusual lie on the sand itself. Bones and skulls litter the valley floor. The skeletons belong to buried corpses. They have been dug up by wild animals, a sign of what secrets lie beneath the sand. The discovery was made not by an adventurer or an archaeologist. In fact, the discoverer could not even speak.
The discovery happened by accident.
In 1994, a donkey got lost in the desert. When the owner came to look for his beast, he found it rooted to the spot, staring into a hole in the desert.
He looked. Inside the hole, he saw mummies. And I came here, and we began our excavation. It was like a dream.
The discovery of so many untouched mummies is a priceless gift to modern science.
Throughout early Egyptian archaeology, many cemeteries were excavated by early Egyptologists who dug up the bodies, the bones, and the mummies were thrown away. They were dispersed.
Early explorers often discarded the mummies in their search for treasure. Mummies were lost in ways that shock modern archaeologists.
They were even used for fuel to cook dinners.
The mummies found at Bahariya are a rare resource, uncontaminated, undamaged.
We have an entire population of people, generation after generation, in one place.
2,000 years ago, Egypt was invaded by the Romans, who settled across the country. The mummies buried in the valley were of these Romans. They date to around 300 BC.
They're going after Egypt because it's one of the wealthiest countries of the Mediterranean. It has all of the gold of Africa, it has the grain, it has all of the resources of Pharaoh. So this is a little jewel in the crown of any empire.
The settlements here were destroyed over time. But studies of the mummies reveal that nothing could destroy the Egyptian culture.
The Egyptians had such a strong sense of culture, such a long history, that really they changed the invaders more than the invaders changed them.
These were Roman mummies. But Egyptian culture still determined the manner of their burial.
Mummification started 3000 BC, and it continued all over the Egyptian history until the Roman period.
Until they came to Egypt, the Romans wrapped their corpses in strips of linen.
In the beginning, most of the mummies, their faces covered with linen like this completely.
But the Egyptians produced coffins and death masks with faces.
Here we have this mask with the face, and all the other mummies have masks.
The masks reveal the change from Roman style to Egyptian as the invaders became naturalized.
You can see this cultural unification, this cultural melding going on right before our eyes from generation to generation.
But the mummies hold another secret. To investigate this, a selection have been moved to a facility where they have been cleaned and restored. Here in sealed cases, the masks reveal even more insights into the Egyptian culture. The mummies are covered in gold.
The ancient Egyptians loved gold. It was obviously one of the most expensive things in the ancient world. But most importantly for the Egyptians, they believed that the body of a god was made out of gold.
This reveals an insight into what the ancient Egyptians believed about reincarnation in the afterlife.
When you die, you are transformed from a mortal into a divine being, which is why they had gold on, sometimes literally on the face, otherwise on the coffins or sarcophagi, because that showed that you had been transformed from the mortal state to the divine.
The mummies are evidence that the Romans adopted the Egyptian use of gold in their religious beliefs. And yet the design of the faces reflects the Roman influence of these new settlers. The golden mummies are evidence of the fusion of the Pharaonic and the Roman into the new Egyptian civilization.
Something to please the Roman and something to please the Egyptians.
The mummies in the valley demonstrate that whatever happened in her history, Egypt was both ultimately strong and flexible. This allowed a continuation of belief and tradition, that was always